Good afternoon, Jean Christophe. How are you doing?
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for your time. Your first name is Sisco, right?
Yeah, my name's Sisco. I'm the GM.
We invest in Sisco.
Right. Yeah. So it's a family name, of course.
Right.
I'm the GM and wine club director of my family's store, Joe's Wines in Memphis, Tennessee.
Thank you very much for your support. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, we're really excited to see the wines that Keith has brought in for us, and it's you should have seen the suitcase that he rolled in with the day that we tasted these wines. I was like, man, this is not a regular bag. So
no, it's a secret agent.
Yeah, it was like a bomb-proof suitcase that with so much foam padding you wouldn't believe it. I could have slept in it, I think.
Very good. Thank you. So we really appreciate that. And I think we are tasting Jadix, and we are tasting also the Commanderie Hospitaliers, right?
Right. So we've got the Jadix 2020 vintage, and then the 2018 Commanderie de Hospitaliers.
Yeah, you are the first one to have this wine in your state.
Amazing. We're thrilled to have it here, and it's a super interesting wine. Which one do you want to talk about first? Because I think
we should start. Technically, we should start with the white wine. You think so?
That's great. I have a glass of it right here. So that
fresh looks good.
Yeah,
must be warm in your part of the world. We have terrible weather in Bordeaux.
So, right now, it's not. Yeah. It's not
the whole Europe is very hot, and the only place that's not hot is France.
Yeah,
so,
it's
go ahead.
A little bit better in Memphis, but you can see the humidity on the glass.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
So a little bit about Jadix. So the name Jadix, by the way, it's not something that was invented. My family has been in the business since the French Revolution, 1818. It's a long time. And Jadix was a brand that existed before under the name Jadis with an S, Jadis. They created the brand in 1850. And Jadis in French means once upon a time. And I put X because I found it was a little more the tradition and innovation. So that's why I changed the brand name from 1850 to 2020 to give a little humph to the brand and more interest from the new generation. So that's the name Jadix. That's a brand that we have registered and we own it, and it's part of our history. So that's the reason for that. And also something else important is that my family moved to Bordeaux in about 1820, but before was in the Rhône Valley and Tain-l'Hermitage. So this wine is a wine from the south of France. It's not close to Saint-Hermitage, but it's close to Montpellier. So it reflects also I was trying to kind of link this new wine to the origin of my family in Côte-du-Rhône.
Very cool.
So that's just a little play. And also what we did is you have a label with a logo there, JCC, with my name. And it's also a brand that existed in also the same time, 1850. So it's also a coat of arms that was created with the three founders of our family. There was one Calvet and two others. And as it is my first name, Jean Christophe Calvet, so I put that on the label because it's also related to history, and I found that hasn't changed since then. So there's a lot of history, family history, on the label of this wine.
Yeah, so there's the common markings that you find on a bottle of Picpoul, yes, like the cross,
and the cross and the sea, the Mediterranean Sea on the side.
Yeah, and then of course the crest that is
the crest. And also what we wanted to do, which is nice, is we wanted to make it a little bit Art Deco, what we call Art Deco on the drawings. And we have a very talented designer. And we love this kind of intricacy of nature around the wine that brings the freshness and the greenness and the energy of the wine. So we are that was the idea that we had, and it's a label that changed year after year, and now we are finding that it looks really nice the way it is, and it's very original and very different from the other Picpoul, still conveying the idea of refreshing, fresh, easy to drink. I call Picpoul, that's my little idea. I call Picpoul Pinot Grigio with an attitude.
Love it.
This is for your customer. So I said Pinot Grigio because it's very, you taste the wine, so it's very kind of light, nice, but it's got a little more humph to just simple Pinot Grigio. So just to come back to Picpoul, so it's a very old grape that was cultivated during the Roman time in that region, which is very much, as you see, you got Montpellier, Sète, Agde. So that's kind of the beginning of the Mediterranean when you leave the Languedoc and when you start to work your way towards Cannes and this and the Riviera. It's also located on a bed of fossilized oysters. So it's a salt and fresh lake called Côte Bassin de Thau, which created where this grape is grown around it.
That's like the lagoon in.
It's like a lagoon, exactly. It's beautiful, and they are by the way they are growing oysters. This is the only place where they are growing oysters in the Mediterranean called Bouzigues. So you can drink your oysters with your white wine in that location. So that's very, very interesting. So it's an old place, and Picpoul, it's a gray kind of grape, pretty big. And the name Picpoul, we don't know where it's coming from, but some people told me that it's such a fat grape that it just doesn't hold so well, and it falls down, and the chicken pool are picking it to feed themselves. So I don't know if it's exactly the story, but this is the idea of Picpoul. But it's a very old grape. It's not grown very much. I think there's some Picpoul grown maybe in California. They are trying to do it, but it is very much indigenous to this part of the world close to what we call Pinay, Agde, and also Montpellier. It's they have about 60,000 hectares. So it's a less than 1 million case production for the world. So it's for an everyday white wine. This is pretty small. So this is the part of the interesting part for this wine. And in fact, we were not supposed to produce a Picpoul or to sell a Picpoul. It's just one of our customer in Chicago, in Illinois, says, Jean, you need to find a Picpoul. And I said, I'm selling white Bordeaux and Grave and all that stuff. And so we went to the south of France. I visited some partners, some wineries, and we find a very good partner, one of the best partner in Picpoul, who produce about 1/3 of the whole production of Picpoul. And they are making 3 types of Picpoul. One which is simple Picpoul, no oak, nothing, no. And then there's a second tier which is aged on the lees, for a little bit during the fermentation. This is the one that we are using very successfully, and it gives this process gives to the wine. It's fresh, it's fruity, it's very much you got kind of this clear yellow color, but you got kind of an acidity, but also a little bit what we call salinity on the mouthful. So it's a wine that's fresh, refreshing, easy to drink, but because of the closeness to the Mediterranean, you got a lot of acidity there and a lot of energy. So, and also a lot of saltiness, which is great with oysters, obviously. So we like this wine because it's unique to France, and it hasn't been repeated in Italy, in America, anywhere else in the world. You need to have this combination of climate, close to the sea, freshness, this kind of, I call that oyster bed that gives kind of the little bit of an edge to the wine. So it's the perfect aperitif wine, but perfect for seafood. That's what we like very much. Seafood is really the combination that works well. I don't know how much seafood is sold in your part of the world. Maybe it's not so much, but it's a very, it's got something else than an everyday white wine.
Yeah, you would be shocked at the amount of seafood restaurants popping up in Memphis right now, but
Right.
everyone loves oysters. We just don't have a ton of oyster restaurants, and obviously the Mississippi River is not a great source for oysters or
Right.
really any type of fish or seafood. But yeah, some oysters or some frites de mer or something like that.
Fruits de mer, but also what I put in my notes was fish soup and other dishes from the Mediterranean like cuttlefish, all that stuff, shellfish will work very well with it. So it's a wine that gives you quite a lot of energy. When we drink it during the summer, it's energetic, it's not soft, and it's got an edge to it. That's what I like the most. So you see the color, it's not completely pale, but it's got a little bit of color, as you say there. It's kind of green with a little bit green inlights, but a lot of exotic fruit, a lot of citrus on the nose, and very fresh, got good acidity and nice salinity at the end. We drink it ourselves. So, I mean, this is what we drink when we're on the beach, 50 miles away from here. So it's really successful. And there's not a lot of wine from the south of France, from the Languedoc-Roussillon, that have those qualities. They are not very good at producing Chardonnay. Sauvignon Blanc is more in Gascony, and we think that. And you got also, the big white wine from Languedoc-Roussillon. But for fresh, easy drinking white wine, this is for us a very successful category. By the way, it replaced in the world of wine, especially in England, Muscadet. Muscadet from the Loire.
Oh yeah,
Muscadet was very successful. They increased their quantity, increased their price, and they lost the business to the Picpoul, which is smart enough to stay smaller at a price which is always pretty good, with a more distinct, less acidity, more easy, more rounded wine to drink. But it's a wine that's been winning over Muscadet, who's coming back now. But this is the story about this winery. And we've been a partner with these people for now about 6 years, and so we bottle the wine out there, and we have our winemaker Claude Gros check out the style, the quality, the acidity, the CO2, the whole process in order to give us a wine which is top notch. But yes. So we received on the 19. Not very interesting, but on the 19 Decanter magazine, it gave us a 90 points, which is so rare on the 19 vintage. We are now moving to the 20, which I think it's as good, if not better, but it's also one of the few everyday white wine that is also rated by different people.
Yeah, this wine is fantastic. Like it is 9 o'clock in Memphis right now. So trying it in the spectrum of a brunch wine or something like that. Something you said it's has energy. It's like, it really is an energizing wine, and it's kind of has like a little current of electricity running through it that I really like. Claude Gros is your winemaker.
Yes.
Okay.
Claude Gros, Claude like Claude, French, and Gros G, right? ROS. So he's one of the top winemaker from Languedoc-Roussillon, and he makes all our blend, and we work with him. And it's a new addition to us. We've been working with him now for a year. And he's extremely talented, and he's got about 15 different estates that he's taking care of, which includes the Commanderie Hospitaliers that we are going to taste afterwards. That's how we met him, through Commanderie Hospitaliers. And I said, "Who is your winemaker?" He said, "It's Claude Gros." And I said, "You know what? I really need somebody from the south," because I was exporting somebody from Bordeaux to the south. And as you can imagine, between two different cultures, between the very snobby classified growth of Bordeaux and the very more humble people from the south, and sometimes there's a little bit of opposition. So we wanted somebody who would just make the link between the south and Bordeaux. So we have somebody which is local, live in Narbonne, close by the Commanderie, and very talented, especially at blending, and also very talented because he's at the school of enology. He's got a lot of students. A lot of students are working with all the estates. So he's got kind of a little bit of a collection of pupils for students that I found in a lot of different places that we're working with, which is very good. So that's for us a big change. We made our rosé from La Roque from there, and we got incredible success on the first blend that he made with us. So very good.
Well, if he has all the pupils that you're talking about, and it means that they're making more wines like these, I think that's a good sign for us, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that you explained the difference between, it's just being a French winemaker is not just being a French winemaker. There's a big difference between being in Bordeaux or in Languedoc or
Bordeaux is big business. Yep. So everybody is like, has got a big ego. They just think that they know Cabernet, they know Merlot, they know Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon, but they don't know other grapes. They don't know other climates. So when I export them to other places, it's a little bit complicated. So I just want to stick to the local people to do that, which makes a big difference. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it is the same thing in California, but I know, for example, Burgundy and Bordeaux, you cannot, if you have Bordelais people, we have some Bordelais people that work in Burgundy that we know very well, and they are just like not accepted. People, they just they are tiptoeing. They are just saying, okay, fine, but they are not accepted. It's very funny. We have same country, but we are in the wine side. Everybody has got his own specialties, and in fact it works that way, and we are very happy to have one of the best guy in the business helping us, because we are really enjoying. We are bottling our Cabernet Franc tomorrow, so excellent. 2020, and you know, instead of for example, just to give you an idea, instead of bottling the wine immediately as we used to do, like in March, we waited and aged the wine and modified the blend and waited 3, 4, 5 months. Changed completely the quality of the wine. The wine is a night and day before what we are doing. So we are learning also in the process, which is always, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, that's the best part about our business, is that you can never know everything about all of wine. You're always learning. There's always something to be found. So I think that's really cool.
So you got a little bit of the Riviera fun, like the rosé, like Côte de Provence in the Jadix. It's white, it's not rosé, but it's very much like a holiday place. So they have a lot of restaurants through the Basanto, you know, and everybody is drinking rosé and white, cheap and expensive, and they dress with oysters. It's just the local drink also. So there's a local, and a lot of tourism there, as you can imagine. So it's a local drink, a lot of restaurants, small hut, you know, small little place. They're all drinking Picpoul there. So we are bringing the Riviera kind of atmosphere to America through this wine.
I love it. So when you're drinking Picpoul on the beach, do you have it in an ice cooler, like it's cold?
Yes, has to be cold. Has to be cold. I like when it's cold. Yeah, I like when it's cold. We use it a lot when we go sailing, for example. It's nice. It's a good sailing wine. Yeah, it's great. It's great. We got a screw cap, so it's an easy access. Yep. So in and out, you know, it just shows that we are not complicating our lives, and you know, we just enjoy that very much.
Yeah, I
and
love
people
it.
keep the balls. So by the way, it's a collector balls. A lot of people say, you know what, I collect the balls because I like them. They're so different and they're so nice. I don't know what they do with it, but it's just it's also a collector. They put water in it because you got a screw cap. It's kind of unique. It's a nice bottle.
Yeah, great way to put take the label off, put the bottle in the fridge, have your cold water in it, something like that.
Yes.
I love the new label. That design is like, obviously we're into wallpaper in this household.
Yes.
This is something that I was like, man, this is a beautiful design. So
it's very much like one of the French painter called Douanier Rousseau style. So very much Art Deco. We wanted to have a feeling of, because I lived in South America, you know, that's what we have in common with Keith. You know, we are all loving. So it's very much a question of being in a jungle, you know, like it's like you got the savannah there. And it's very much kind of the south of France. In this part of France is not so organized. It's a bit messy there. You know, it's not that it's a little wild Mediterranean. So I feel like we see a lot of branch going left and right from the sea. It's not as organized as you have in Nice or Saint-Tropez on the Cannes. It's a little more rough there. So that's why I wanted to give that kind of aspect to the label.
I love it. So you
more natural.
Looking into your past a little bit, there was obviously your family has been into wine in a massive way since the early 1800s, and you had worked in America, worked in France, worked in America, worked in South America for some massive companies and stuff, and got into everything with your wife Margaret.
Yes, she's American.
Yeah, and she seems to be as impressive as anybody I can find.
She's the boss.
Yeah. It seems like y'all have one of the most interesting histories of any of the importers that I deal with, but really any of the people that I've come across.
Yeah, very kind. No, I really love America. I will have next year 3 of my kids are American, have the American passport. 3 of my kids in America. Jean-Sebastian that works with Keith in the Northeast, because I have one other kid in California, and a third one which is going to be studying in California this year, and another one that was in NYU but moved back to Paris to do our logistics. And so I really love America. I moved to America in 1984 for 10 years, and I also was in America in 1979. So I started with Mondavi in 1979. Can you believe that? So I'm kind of a dinosaur about the industry in America, because I've seen a lot of people. I work with groups like Rémi Cointreau or Alain Domecq, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoy America. I'm glad that America is so much in wine, such a big market of wine, and we really enjoy having distribution in all the markets and being also an importer of wine in New Jersey. So we are able to sell to smaller, I don't mean small, but I mean smaller market like Tennessee, directly from our warehouse, so we don't have to have a rupture between one market and another.
That's great. And y'all are dealing with, there's obviously a ton of logistical nightmares going on right now. You know, you said one of your children has moved back to Paris to study logistics and stuff.
So he was a student in NYU more in the business of art and music. But during the pandemic, it was very difficult to get any business because the job market was tough. So he decided to help us on the logistic side, and he moved from New York to. It doesn't mean that he's not going to come back to America, but he moved from New York to Paris to do his job, and decided to work with us on the logistical side. So he's in charge of. We have a warehouse in New Jersey. And he's in charge of all the logistic side, you know, shipping wine from New Jersey to all our different wholesalers, which is about 28, 29, 30 hours job per week.
Well, he did good, because all of these wines arrived on time, which is not necessarily the norm right now. So
yeah, we have some delay. We have some delay with containers. We had a huge issue of big delay of containers. So we have to pile container after container in order to have them, making sure that they are going to be there at the end of the year. But fortunately, we got the tax. The tax is, we don't have any more tax. That's just helped us a lot.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we're happy about that too. This wine is beautiful and a great way to start my morning here, of course.
Is it the first time you try a Picpoul?
We've carried it before. We've carried it for 3 or 4 years, I think. Yeah, Picpoul really has taken off in Memphis, and is you know, as hot as you say it is in France, it's definitely just as hot here, and people are looking for something to drink on the porch or the patio or by the pool, and you know, for something that does a little bit more than maybe the entry-level Pinot Grigio does, for sure. I think it's really interesting. The salinity is what keeps me coming back to it.
Yeah, iodine. Yes, it's very nice. I like it. So that's the story about our friend Jadix, and I think we cover more or less the whole thing. So it's also unique because you cannot find too much competition. So it's kind of a unique proposal that you can do to your customer, saying that this grape is unique and one of the best everyday grapes in the south of France. So
Great.
this is in a region where it's very much the holiday in a bottle. So people like to think about the French Riviera. So you have kind of the French Riviera atmosphere in the bottle, which is nice.
Yeah, not like the Christmas holiday that we think of, but the vacation holiday.
The vacation holiday. Yeah, I know you don't take any holiday in America, but it's just
it's too bad. Bad.
It is. So that's basically it for the time being. And then we are going to move to a wine called Commanderie Hospitaliers, which is a wine that's the first vintage was 2018. And it's a wine that how am I going to start with this wine? First of all, it's a wine which is north, about few miles, about 10 miles north of Narbonne, between Béziers and Narbonne, very much in the Languedoc region. So we are not in the sea, we are just before the Mediterranean side. And the story is that I went to a restaurant with my wife, Margaret, in Pézenas. And I said to the guide, show me the best white wine that you can find so I can taste the wine. I am interested in the south of France. We are making our own wine, but we like to have some estates. And this restaurateur in Pézenas, by the way, Pézenas is where Molière was born. So I just mentioned that to you because it's an important part. It's like where Shakespeare was born, so it's threatened so it's a very important part. And I was in the Hotel Molière, and we went to the restaurant just close by, which was very good food. But we were kind of alone. It was month of November, no tourists, nothing. And the guy at the end of the dinner gave me that bottle. He said, Jean, Mr. Calvet, try this wine and tell me what you think. And so I took the wine and I didn't open the wine for a year. So it was like in my cellar. And I opened the wine after a year and I just said, my God, this is so great. This is incredible. So I called the owner, Frédéric Gély, who is a dentist. He's especially in implants. He's one of the best guys for implants. So if you have issue with your teeth, that's the guy. It's cheap.
Okay.
He's a genius on this kind of trade, which is very different from the wine business. And his wife, Sophie, is the winemaker. She's great. She's a real tough girl. She's in charge of a big acreage. So it's a big acreage. They have something like 450 acres of wine.
Wow.
And in the middle of that, they have about 10 hectares, 20 acres of selected that they have selected to produce the best Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre you can find. So it's a hilly side, close to the estate, very well surrounded, very low yield, very old vines, absolutely amazing. So I spoke to him and I said to him, I would like to come to see you and to meet you, etc., etc. So he said to me, Jean, I only sell this wine to 40 top restaurants in France and 30 to 40 top individuals, people who are in the business. That's what I do. I only produce 2,000 cases. That's all they produce a year. And we sell it just to 3-star, 2-star, 1-star restaurant. And what they do is that they have the label and they print the label with the name of the restaurant. So they feel like they are owners. By the way, you are owner because they sell the ownership of one row. So you enter there, you buy the ownership of one row and you receive so many bottles every year with your name on. So the restaurateur feels it's their own wine. So it's a very smart way of promoting this property, which sells these top wines and everything is more simple, more straightforward. And so we felt the idea was good. So we start talking to them for about 5-6 months because it takes time for us to make the move. And we met with them. We liked the wine. We liked the wine a lot. And we decided to move on. And he gives me every year about 500 cases of each vintage. So you are tasting the 2018 that I absolutely love. a lot of Grenache in the wine, very old vines, but Syrah and Mourvèdre. I say it's about 4,000 vines per hectare, so pretty high density for the south of France, and very low yield. They only make 30 hectoliters per hectare, so very low yield, very close to the top growth of Bordeaux, Saint-Emilion, things like that. Very, very low yield. They produce very, very, very small amount of product.
So Jean, what for our wine club members, when you're talking about low yield, why would that be important when you're making a red wine like this?
Because you got incredible density. I mean, the density of the wine and the intensity of the wine is double or triple versus a wine the density, the more dense you are, I mean, the density per hectare, most of the time in south of France is about 2,500 vines per hectare. The more dense you are, the deeper the vines goes down and the more nutrient they get and the more interesting the wine is. In fact, in the top property in Bordeaux, it's about 10,000 vines per hectare. Wow. So 4,000, it's the traditional way of doing business there, but it's 4,000 vines per hectare combined with very old vines. So one with the other really produce a wine which is unique.
So you're talking about concentration is the important part.
Yes, yeah, we are looking for a wine. The wine is very much like, it's very much in the Côte du Rhône North style. It's not at all the typical Grenache Syrah. It's very much in that style. It's a wine with incredible aging potential. We tasted wine with 15 years aging and the wine was absolutely gorgeous. So aging potential, you can drink it now. The wine hasn't been rated yet. We haven't rated, the wine hasn't been rated, but we will get incredible rating. And just sold in top restaurant in France. So we got 3-star restaurant. This is their everyday red wine that they offer to their customer for lunch or things like that. But they don't have a lot. They only have like 4 or 5 cases a year, and their name is on the label, so they really enjoy promoting that wine.
Absolutely.
So well, we felt the whole concept was great. So what's very interesting is that this wine is also has got incredible history because, as you can see in the sell sheets, one of the it's called Vin de Pays Cathare. So I don't know if you know if it is what is Cathare, but it's a kind of it's a Gnostic movement in the 12th century against the Catholic Church. So it was kind of the same, a little parallel with Protestants. So it was people felt that the Catholics were a little bit loosey-goosey. So they went for very extreme, very cold, they're called the purists or the les purs. So they were not married, they didn't marry, they were all in white. So it was a very pristine, pure movement.
Yeah,
and they were fighting against the king. Yes, sorry.
It was the Gnostic mysticism
exactly
combined with Christianity. I just finished a Philip K. Dick book called Valis that is all about Gnostic Christianity, and I was like, man, this is such a great coincidence that we're reading about this book while I'm about to do an interview with this wine that. We have, apparently we have the Gnostic Christians to thank for this after they so kindly donated the chateau to the
They donated the chateau and, typical of the French kings, when they donated the chateau and say, well, we're not going to be against the king, the next day they are beheaded. They give everything away. And if you give everything away, you just lose everything. So you have no more power. So the first guy was, we work a lot with the team, and Adhémar de Muriel donated the estate to the Order of Saint John of Jerusalem, and then after that the guy was absolutely beheaded, and so that's the first history of the wine. So it's 1,000 years ago. This vineyard exists since a long time, but the second story is that the next famous owner was called Bailly de Suffren, and Bailly de Suffren was one of the admiral who helped during the American Revolution with Lafayette. So he was one of the guys that really helped the liberation of America from the English. So I felt like I said there's a lot of stuff there that could be interesting for Americans because he was a, you know, Napoleon said if I had Bailly Suffren, if Bailly Suffren didn't die in Paris early in life at the age of 36, 37, because he was eating a lot, I will have another Nelson. So we'll have won against the English because the guy won 36 battles, which is major for, and he was a guy from the South. He was in fact from Saint-Tropez. And bought from Saint-Tropez, he bought this estate in, he was Bailly de Suffren de Saint-Tropez, bought this estate from in Narbonne, which is about 4 hours away, for his family. And the family continued to have, you know, and then like 30 years ago, it was 25, 30 years ago, this estate was sold to the Gély family that owns it today. But when you go in the chateau that you see with the balloon here, it's like a museum. You have the whole house is full of artifacts, paintings, all the kings of France, all the things about naval, you know, water vessels are in the chateau. So it's really impressive place, and they bought this house with everything intact from that time. So we like it. We like very much the fact that it's not only a wine, but a wine with a lot of history in a location that was very much the fight between the north and the south, the kings and the people who were trying to come away. And also they found this little piece of vineyard that creates great wine. And Claude Gros, our winemaker now, is in charge of that. And he said to me, Jean, I tell you something, this is one of the best wine we have for the price point. We got a lot of Grenache, some Syrah and some Mourvèdre. It's very old vine. You really need to really work with them, because I think you will have something that works well for fine wine stores, for restaurants that want something different than the everyday La Vieille Ferme red and white. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a very small quantity. We have a number on each bottle. So each bottle is numbered. You will see that on the side.
Yep.
Yep. Each bottle is numbered. Yes, exactly. So we ask them to number. So you have the number 2,290, right?
Yeah, 2290.
You have 200. You are nearly at the beginning or at the end. I can't remember if they started or the end. So as you can see, you know, the wine is very rich, intense aroma, dark fruit, raspberry, floral, a little bit of rose. You know, as I mentioned to you in my notes, but it's got a smooth finish. It's not harsh. It's not too intense. It's a wine that you can drink. And I know that your wine was a little cold, right? I like when it's a little cold. It has to be a little cold because it's a southern wine, so otherwise it's too much. But this is more like a meat wine, you know, steaks, sirloin, poultry, pasta. It's a wine for serious dish, but it's a absolutely lovely wine and represents the mosaic of exception that we find in the Languedoc, where you have some places like. What I'm saying is that Pays Cathare is a very, very small IGP. And this property has covered 70% of the IGP Pays Cathare. So they are nearly a monopoly on the appellation of Vin de Pays Cathare. So we really like the idea that we nearly have the whole appellation for ourselves. It's not sold, it's a little bit like a monopoly. So there's a lot of interesting story there. So on the bottle, Commanderie des Hospitaliers, that's the location. And you got the coat of arms of the very famous admiral during the French Revolution. And this is the Comte de Suffren. This is a coat of arms with the two leopards and the cross in the middle. So it's also history in the bottle. And we put, for America, we put that was a bit of a fight. We put the grapes, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, without the percent because it's too commercial. But we wanted to put the grapes to help the people to understand what this wine was all about. So it's a state bottle. They only produce 1,900 cases a year. No more, no less, a little less sometimes, a little more or less that. Only sold in France in top restaurant. And we got about 6 to 7, 8 collectors. They all buy a share into the property. So they buy one row to a little bit like Burgundy. It's about I would say $1,000 for a row, and then you receive bottles and things. So we are also ourselves. We are going to be very soon, and I talked to Frederic. We very soon will be the also part owner of this property to be part of. So it's a group of people, and they gather for picking, they gather for making the wine. They also gather to label the wine. So the people that buy the wine, they label the wine. They go there, they spend one day, they work the bottling line and all the stuff. And so they are happy to be part of it. They have a picture of them. They take a picture of them in the bottling line or also in the vineyard. They bring that to the restaurant. And also Gélie goes in France and travels and meet with the people. So it's a group of happy guys that really enjoy good wine. And I felt it was good for us to bring the story to America because it's really unique. So when Keith told me that you were taking quite a lot of cases, you have about 10% of the 10 or 15% of the whole production that we sent to the US in your hand. It's great because it's a fantastic story. I really love this wine. And as we have, the whole team is always reluctant to bring new wine. So it's a long process. And I think that everybody is on board now. And we have 2 vintage, we have 18 and we have also 19 vintage, which is great.
Great. Yeah. This is a great way to start with this 2018 vintage. We're extremely excited.
Yeah, I think your choice of 2 wines that you did with Keith and his sampler is a good one because it's really unique. It's different from everybody else. You can differentiate yourself from the rest of the crowd and bringing something original, new, and by the way, for the Commanderie, it's the first time in the US.
Yeah, amazing. We're honored to have it in our wine club, of course, and I think it's
the
really,
way around.
Yeah, we love French wines, and they've been harder and harder to get at an affordable price point, and this is a great value for sure. I know during part of this wine is so new, in fact, that Keith had to send me the tasting notes because they weren't even on the website. So I was like, Keith, I do want to make sure that I can at least prepare for our chat. And he was like, okay, the chateau is so new that we have to send over a tech sheet for you, which is great. And it mentioned a little bit about the garrigue and pine trees and
yes.
Moisture in the area.
Yeah.
And how that kind of creates a kind of special terroir for this.
Yes. So they are very much into natural. They don't want to be too much organic. They don't want to have copper. They are very much against copper because we have a big issue with copper and organic wine. So they want to leave the diversity very much to insects. We say wasps and bees and things like that. So they are very much into leaving all the bushes and everything, living material in the vineyards, and not making an organic wine, which with sometimes the rules are a little bit difficult to follow. So it's very much sustainable. It's not organic. Sophie is not very much keen on that because she hates copper and it's ruined completely the soil. So it's very much a sustainable wine, and you can see it's sustainable because of the aging potential. So the aging potential makes it. And when I spoke to Claude, he said, Jean, the soil, we analyze the soil is so pure, it's so pristine that we think that that's the reason why the wine is aging so well. And that's the reason why also the top sommelier in France, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, have selected this wine, and they receive sample all the time. And they just embrace the project, which is great. And also, this is a visit point. So if you go to France, we will by ourselves or with us. We really would like you to see the place because it's unique. Has got a little canal around it. The house is very imposing. The people are very nice and simple. We had a great lunch. We had a great dinner. It was during the time of how do you call that? The lockdown.
Yep.
So lockdown, you have to go back home at 7 p.m. So imagine we had a dinner where we drink too much, where we left the place at about 10, and we have to drive for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, hoping that the cops didn't stop us for drinking too much and to be in the lockdown. So we had a great time, but we didn't appreciate the dinner as much as we wanted because of the lockdown situation, especially in the south of France. They are very tough because nobody is respecting anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's been very tough on a lot of people, and it's tough not being able to get together with your friends. I'm sure not being able to. Well, I have talked to some people that said if you could travel for work reasons, so you would be able to get out and see wineries and
yes. Yeah, absolutely. So even during the lockdown, we were able to travel for a work reason. By the way, I did the motorway from Bordeaux to Toulouse, 3 cars. I mean, even the grass was growing, the trees, everything was kind of, the jungle was taking back. It was unbelievable. So you can do it, but you have to have all the paperwork and everything else. And then you have to find a place where to stay. Everybody was very reluctant. You have to find a place where to eat. So you are eating sandwiches. It's not a lot of fun during those times, but it's possible. We have done it twice.
That's great. And how are things now?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Things are much better than last year in France. The restaurants are open, but we have what we call a variant. I'm sure you have the same situation in America. We have the variant Delta. We have a Delta variant. We have the issue in France. I don't know. I'm not going to go into the political issues, but we have the issue in France of people who do not want to be vaccinated. So, which I understand, but the issue that we have is that we saw the statistics, 90% of the people who die are the ones that are not vaccinated anymore. So, and we had somebody in the office that was not vaccinated and got sick and got really bad. So everybody is very careful. So we have this issue of now what we call anti-vax, people not wanting to be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So it's the next border, next steps to success. So, but the situation is much better. People are happy to be together, and we are still having masks. Sometimes when you go to stores, we are careful about washing our hands, about not gathering with so many people, like nightclubs. It's not that I'm going to nightclubs anymore. It's more Keith, time. Nightclubs, restaurant you can go, but they still have a little distance between the table. Mm-hmm. And we've been vaccinated a long time ago with the great Pfizer.
Same.
Yeah, right. I loved it. And so everything is getting better, and our business is very good this year in America. In the US, our business is very good, basically because we are lucky enough to have local presence like Keith. We're able to travel and show our wines and promote our wine in times where most of the French are stuck in France. Very hard for French people to come to America. I'm able to go to America in September because I'm married with an American. I have an American wife. Otherwise, it's impossible. I cannot go to America.
Wow.
Very difficult. Complicated.
Yeah, we during the last year we did a bunch of virtual wine dinners where we had we pair some wines with 3 courses with the local restaurant, and we would have on a guest speaker. Keith did it pretty recently, and we had an awesome time having him on. And we'd always have a guest from an importer or the winery or stuff. It would be at like 7 p.m. So don't take offense that we didn't invite you to the party. It would have been 4 a.m, I think. But Keith did an awesome job, and we love having your wines.
Zoom was a really big help during the time, because we were able to do a lot of tasting in place like yours. Also information. I mean, talking to the sales teams, consumers. So that was really, we did with a lot of different producers for about a month, right, Keith? A month and a half?
Yeah, we did about a month and a half series on different winemakers and kind of in depth. Yeah, I think that was pretty successful.
Yeah, it was pretty good and exciting times because we're all stuck. We're all stuck doing. I mean, not doing nothing, but we're just stuck at home and waiting for the world to unfold. So so we feel very optimistic, very excited. We have good vintage coming up. We have 18, 19, 20. So you must be between 18 and 19 and 20 great three vintages. So things are looking up, and we are feeling good. But it's a bit. It was hard last year. How was it for you as far as your business? You had a good business year, right?
Yeah, it was really good. It was it was kind of up and down. We at the beginning it was crazy busy, and then we didn't let customers in the store for about 4 months. So of course, naturally, every order was people pulling up to the parking lot and you running orders out to them, or taking orders out in the parking lot or on the phone or via email. And so that was probably like the hardest we'd all worked to make it all happen. And once we figured out that we could run the store without putting everyone in danger, we reopened back up, and business was great. It was, definitely people were drinking, eating, and doing everything at home in small groups. So yeah.
It was, in fact, also we have to think about it as also, in a certain way, funny enough, as a happy time, because we were able to be together with our family. Yeah. Some people, it was hard for some of them, but for most of us, it was a good time to be together and to develop, the interpersonal relationship and everything else. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Yeah. The family dynamic of just, I work with I work with my sister. She's the wine buyer in the store. And my mom is a retired nurse. My dad is just retired from the store a couple of years ago. So we would all get together on Sundays and have dinner and, drink some of the wines that we had found that week, and really enjoy each other's company a lot more than we had before. I think we had maybe taken it for granted a little bit, and it was,
give us a little more pace.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. So Keith, you want to add anything to the discussion that we have? Because you always have good ideas.
I mean, I think you pretty much covered all the wine very well. I think they're very, very good, interesting wines that really aren't seen elsewhere. Picpoul, it's more and more common, but the Commanderie, when I first tried that wine, I remember seeing it on the shelf in the office, and it was just like, I just wanted to try it because it looked so intriguing. Like the label was very intriguing. It was kind of this wine that I didn't know where it came from, and when we opened the bottle, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna sell this when I bring this back. I want to tell people about it. So
yeah, Sisco, I just want to thank you for being a partner in that market. This is a big deal for us because it's we have this small market with our friends there. What's her name?
Celeste and Weston.
Celeste and the team. So it's a small market for French wine because it's a market that's where you have like 4 or 5 stores that are doing well. The on-premise is not as big. And we really develop a partnership with people who are interested in wine that we have and being kind of exclusive with those wines so they can promote, because the market is smaller. So when Keith told me about that, I was very, very pleased. And we hope to present to you new ideas every year, a wine that you haven't been thinking about, to always continue to have this innovation in your offers.
Yeah, well, if your ideas keep tasting like this, I think that should be easy.
I love it. I love this wine.
Yeah.
That your business is doing well. We are very glad to work with you because we don't take anybody for granted. We think it's very, very, very important what you're doing for us. and you are a big mark in the marketplace. So you're a big fish in this market. Thank you again. And I know that the relationship with Keith really enjoy meeting you and talk to you. And Keith always think a little bit outside of the box as far as offering things that you are not, 100% thinking about sometimes. So we'll continue to do that and to bring products that are kind of unique for you. And eventually you can also, be the guy who brings this wine year after year and have kind of a following on those wines. We would be very happy to do that too.
Yeah, so Jean Christophe Calvet and Keith Pesh, love having y'all all, both from Aquitaine.
Thank you very much.
Amazing stuff. Thank you guys. Merci beaucoup.
My pleasure. It was a pleasure to talk to you and to be with you. And Keith, thank you very much to have organized that. And Sisco, thank you very much to have selected these wines, because they are wine that we care about, and they are new stuff, very much interesting.
Well, we can't wait to get
guys.
to the wine club. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.